And now a man who just might Wang Chung tonight, Ricky Cobb.
Oh yeah, and welcome you sweet bastards. I'm Ricky Cobb, and this is a special live Thursday evening edition of the Ricky Cobb Show. And yes, my friends, it is a banger for you today. And I might Wing Chung before it's over. Maybe we'll have a special poll, yes or no, on whether or not I should Wing Chung. The last time I Wing Chunged, I pulled a muscle, regrettably. Such are the perils of being over age 50. I once gave Wing Chun lessons many years ago. Volunteered with seniors to do it. Welcome to the Ricky Cobb Show channel on YouTube. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, for heaven's sakes, because this is where we have a lot of fun, and we want all of you sweet bastards to join us in having a good time, because guess what? It's about to get funky up in here. How funky? I'm glad you asked. It's about to get this funky. The funkometer needle has swung all the way to the right, all the way to Cher and the Osmonds is where it's at.
Look at the hair.
Tim, I believe you have one of those. You have one of those jumpsuits in your closet, don't you, Tim?
Gonna funk you
don't look
right
now.
on up. She's got quite a history.
And they
of
were
it,
doing.
man.
Well, look, we don't have the rights to the music here, but I believe they were doing a Stevie Wonder medley, if I recall correctly. And what says Stevie Wonder any better than Donny Osmond and his even less talented brothers forming an alliance with Cher to come out? You know, we need more jumpsuits in this society.
Dude, be honest.
Can
have
we
you
agree?
ever had
People
one?
always ask me, why the 70s? I have never owned a jumpsuit. You're gonna mess up my credibles as the Super 70s guy, but I have in fact never owned a jumpsuit, nor have I ever gone anywhere as Elvis in my life either, which is probably a wasted opportunity for me. Everybody should dress up as 70s Elvis at least once in their life. Maybe that gives me a goal for Halloween next year. Cam Newton doesn't wait for Halloween, however. Some of us dress up once a year. We say it's Halloween and off we go. But if you're Cam Newton, Halloween is every day of the calendar. Does the day end in Y? It must be Halloween. And here's my tweet of the year, by the way. You know, I know some of you are out there looking at your Spotify Wrapped year in review. I'm on Tidal, by the way, but they have a year in review as well. So I was examining my favorite songs last night. I can tell you right now, there's no X year in review, but this was my most successful tweet of the year. And why was it successful? Because it was true. What did I say? Let's get it back up there. Cam Newton always looks like a rival chocolatier who's plotting how to drive Willy Wonka out of business.
So good.
A grown-ass man who dresses like that. And friend of the program, Trey Wingo, weighed in on this. I want us to go to Trey's comments here because I like his take on this one, what he had to say. What did Trey say, guys? He said, those, someone once told me, those aren't outfits, they're costumes. And indeed they are. I don't know how I remember when my oldest daughter was about 7. She used to do this thing where she would give concerts in the house. And she would write out the little tickets by hand and tear them carefully. And then she would go around and she would hand a ticket to me, a ticket to her mother, a ticket to her younger sisters, and tell us how the big show was tonight at 7 o'clock. And of course, I was always an indulging parent in being her biggest fan in these endeavors. But she would wear these great outfits back then. And one day she came down for breakfast, and her younger sister looked at her and said, "Bailey, I love your costume." And that's how I feel about Cam Newton. Although, in my daughter's defense, she was 7 Cam Newton, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're going to have a thing, you've got a thing. Now that we've established how much fun we like to have on this program, let me tell you what we've got in store for you today, right here on this live edition of the Ricky Cobb Show. Cowboys and Lions kicking off in just mere hours. And speaking of 7-year-old children, look at the artwork for this that went out. Cowboys really put this out. This looks like something that your 7-year-old would give you to put on the refrigerator. And quite honestly, I'm not sure that it's refrigerator worthy, Tim. As I look at this, you know, sometimes your kid hands you a piece of art and you have to look at it and say, you know what? I don't know if that one deserves to go on the refrigerator, but there it is. I don't know how that happened. Is that a lion? Is that a demon from hell?
The colors are off.
What the hell is going on there?
Jesus.
Tony Dorsett desperately trying to get away there from, I don't know, a diseased lion trying to track him down. I don't want whatever that lion has. I'll tell you that. That's a whole other layer. And speaking of artwork to promote this Thursday night game, this one is better. Yeah, there's Rowdy, the Cowboys mascot, and a real lion. I hope that those 6 shooters are full. Does he even have a gun, Tim?
I don't
Can
think
they
he
not?
does.
They can't put a gun. They can't put a gun in an NFL thing because then people would accuse them of promoting gun violence. So I don't like Rowdy's chances against that lion without a sidearm.
He's got thigh pads on, though.
That's just my analysis.
Thigh pads will help him.
Well, he does have thigh pads. He's going to go right into if it was Jackson Dart would just go right into that lion and give him a shoulder, is what would happen. I feel like Rowdy's looking for the out of bounds marker. There is how I feel that it's going down. Armando Salguero is here. He's going to join us in a few minutes. He's not here yet, but he's going to be here shortly to talk about Jerry Jones and America's team, the resurgent Dallas Cowboys, 6-5-1, and shout out to the tie. I always love it when we have a tie in the NFL, and it ends up with teams that have weird records. There's Jerry right there holding up the number of ties that the Cowboys have, signifying it with his thumb. Kickoff at 8:15 Eastern time tonight on Amazon Prime. A game that has playoff implications for both of these teams. The Cowboys have a chance to move 2 games above 500. There's a hell of a difference between being 7-5-1 and being 6-6-1. And the Lions, well, what has happened? The Lions are 2 games behind the Chicago Bears. Yeah, that's right. How about that? Chicago Bears, 9-3, sitting in the number 1 seed position. And Jerry Jones, 3 decades, it seems, that he's been making that face now. We've seen that face a lot over the course of the last 30 years. The Lions favored by 3 tonight, and the over-under is real hot. The over-under is 54.5. It's got me thinking about the under a little. I'm always, like most of us, I think, I'm an over guy. I look, and then I'm like, that seems too low. I'm going over, and then the game inevitably, is 10-6 every time I do that. But we're going to be asking some questions tonight to Armando Salguero about Jerry Jones. Is it time for Jerry to go out to pasture? Has he been more good or bad for the NFL through the years? And another thing that I'm really excited about on this program, very excited, Atlanta Braves great, legend, WTBS legend himself, Bob Horner, all-star third baseman of the Atlanta Braves, is going to join me to talk about Dale Murphy being up for the Hall of Fame this Sunday, December 7th. The Contemporary Era Committee is going to vote. 16 people will be in that room. It's a mixture of former players, writers, former executives, etc. And here are the 8 names that they'll be considering. I'd be lying to you if I told you that everybody wasn't background noise for me compared to Dale Murphy. He's the guy that I'm most interested in. There are other people there who Certainly you can make a case for Bonds and Clemens. Well, look, Tim Kirkjian is going to join me tomorrow on the program to help me break this down. So I'm not going to get completely into it right now with the stacked show that we have for you. But Bonds and Clemens, we know the reason that they're not in. Maybe the best pitcher of my lifetime, Roger Clemens, if we're just looking at on-field accomplishment. 7 Cy Young Awards. Barry Bonds is the best hitter I ever saw. I don't know how much of it was synthetic and how much of it is real, but I know what he did. But I have no questions about the realness of this man because he is the genuine article both on and off the field. I tweeted out, you can see it here recently, trying to do my part. If you follow me on Super 70s, you know that I'm a Dale Murphy guy. Murph has been on this show. He was on my old podcast years ago when nobody even knew who I was. He's been a Super 70s friend going back almost 10 years now. And I tweeted out the Hall of Fame era committee. It's the contemporary era committee, but I'm working with characters on X, remember. They meet this Sunday. Murph needs 12 of 16. And you never know who's going to see that. So I encouraged everybody, do your part, retweet it. Don't retweet it for Ricky Cobb. Don't retweet it for Super 70 Sports. Retweet it for Dale Murphy. Because the more that we're talking about it over the course of the next few days, maybe, just maybe, we can provide a little bit of a boost to help get Murph to the finish line. And look at some of these stats. Dwight Evans, by the way, look at that. Extra base hit leaders in the 1980s. Dale Murphy, second only to Dwight Evans. And let's be honest, how many guesses would you have needed to get to Dwight Evans? Maybe the most underrated player of the 1980s. That's a cause that we can take up in the future. But Dwight Evans, another friend of the program, had him on the show. Wonderful guy, very interesting guy. But look at all of those names right there. The only 2 that aren't in the Hall of Fame are the guys who had the most bases. Think about that. 1 and 2 on the list aren't in. 3 through 10 are. Matthew McIntyre. Is that a real name, Matthew? Is that an alias? I check into hotels as Diego McIntyre. He said he had more Dale Murphy baseball cards than any other player. The XRP Don saying that Murph is his all-time favorite player. Of course, if you're growing up in Atlanta, he almost had to be your favorite player, unless you were a big Bob Horner fan, because we would accept that as well. So many people in the comments echoing what I've had to say about Murph. And yes, it goes back to the fact that these guys were broadcast through the miracle that it seemed like it was at the time of cable television to millions and millions and millions of homes. The Cincinnati Reds were the closest team to me geographically when I was a kid, but we didn't get all the Reds games. I don't even know if we got half of them as I look back on it. I remember it that we got like a couple a week. But man, when I got cable TV in the early 1980s down in Horse Cave, Kentucky, and suddenly I had WGN and the superstation WTBS, because that's what it was until 1987. The entire duration of Bob Horner's career in Atlanta, it was WTBS. And look, the most prominent figures for me associated with that entire superstation were Dale Murphy, Bob Horner, and probably Andy Griffith. Because that's what it seemed to be that Ted Turner was building his empire around. But so many of us remember Murph because we saw all of those games. I have made the argument before, probably Dale Murphy had more of his at-bats watched by people. If there was a way to measure how many eyes were on anybody's at-bats in the 1980s, I would wager Dale Murphy is the top of that list, because he was going into homes coast to coast in a way that even guys who played for the Yankees or the Dodgers, they just did not get that level of exposure. And then on top of it, Dale Murphy, just one of the best people. People ask me a lot. They say, Ricky, you've met all of these athletes. Who are the nicest guys? And the truth is, most of them are nice. The vast majority of experiences I've had with athletes have been very positive. But yes, it is true. I'm here to tell you, Dale Murphy has earned his reputation. I have gotten to know him just a little bit from interviewing him a couple of times, interacting with him on X, and I can tell you the man is such a genuine, kind, thoughtful person that he should be in the Hall of Fame. If you look at the whole picture, he is the character clause. Well, you see Bonds isn't in, and it's the character clause, right? Clemens isn't in, it's the character clause. You cheated. Dale Murphy not only didn't cheat anybody, he went out of his way, his entire Gold Glove, back-to-back MVP career, to be good with the fans, to have time for the fans. And I'll guarantee you that the next Dale Murphy was a jerk story that you hear will be the first one that anybody has ever told. So I'm very excited to have Bob Horner on the program today. And let me bring in now my sidekick today, riding a shotgun with me, Ronnie T-shirts, is in Italy, of all places. And look who we got here.
I'm doing my lasso.
There was that the disco lasso? That's the whitest
man.
thing that's ever happened, Tim.
Feeling frisky, man.
That is even whiter than the Osmonds. If any of the Osmonds are watching this right now, they are shocked by how white that was. No, I've never seen it get that funky.
You haven't seen me after dark, Ricky. You don't know what transpires here after dark.
Well,
hey, listen. Before we get to the comments, and again, people get in the community page, get out there, get on YouTube. There's quite a few we're scrolling through here. We've got a couple pre-built for you. But before I get to that, I do think it's such an astute point on your part. And I have to tell you, like I always thought of as TBS, you're right. It's WTBS. Just seeing some of the comments, like Jason Crump saying, growing up in the state of Washington, one of the reasons, that he believes that he felt like his living room, this as a kid, Jason Crump, was turned into a baseball field. From WTBS to Cooperstown, the case for Dale Murphy, how he turned my TV into a ballpark. Now it's time for Cooperstown. That's on his Substack. So a lot of good shit out there, a lot of good stuff. We also have a couple other comments here that we could fire on the bottom of the screen here before we go listen to a little bit of Bob Horner. But let's see, our first question up here. I think we have it. Yeah. So what are you doing for Christmas? Jim Kaiser, of course, not in haiku, would like to know what you're doing.
Well, I hope that I'm going to be doing my girlfriend, Tim, because she is supposed to be up here. Hey, there you go, honey. Are you watching, honey? She may be watching right now. Sweetheart, I love you. I am hopeful that this is going to be the best Christmas ever because my sweet girlfriend, love of my life, is going to be relocating from Kentucky to Chicago to join me here at Casa de Cobb, the new one here where we're operating from Studio B, which is the basement of this new expansive estate that I have. And the only thing that would make this year possibly any better for me coming down the stretch would be to have her here with me, Jim. I might write a haiku, Jim, but I can't do it like you. Jim Kaiser, for the uninitiated, is the poet laureate.
Nice. We'll see one more. We'll see one more here, Ricky, because
nobody operates a fly swatter like this guy either.
Kaiser, no, he's legit. Let's go to one more here, and then we are going to go to the Bob Horner pre-tape here. Oh, good Lord. This one did make the show. How devastated will you be if the WNBA strikes?
Well, here comes the turd in the punch bowl. Thanks, Landon. Now I'm so fucking shaken. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to move on with the rest of this special live edition of the show. The WNBA strikes. I mean, what will I do? It's going to be like 1994 all over again. I mean, my God. I'm not going to have the opportunity to see Angel Reese out there going 2 for 12 from the paint. I don't know how I'm going to be able to handle that. But let's all cross our fingers. Perhaps light a candle and say a small prayer. The next time that you hear the first Noel, give a prayer to baby Jesus that this doesn't happen.
So I'm going to show my ignorance. I'm going to show my ignorance here a little bit. Speaking of strikes, so I know MLB went out in '93. Did they go out in '87 too? Because when I was looking at Horner's stats today, he's got a gap year there.
They went out in '94. That was the strike year.
94. Did I say 93? 94,
Joe Carter walk off. Yeah.
Expos were in first
94
place.
was the year that the Expos, White Sox, Yeah, and that
Yep.
that was a rough one. No, there was collusion, is what we believe is the reason that Bob Horner ended up in Japan playing for the Yakult Swallows, where he hit 31 homers in 93 games, Tim. And it was collusion. If you go back and remember at the time, there was a case. I think the players, there ended up being some damages in this thing because there were a lot of people who ended up not getting contract offers. Tim Raines was one of them. Tim Raines ended up not even playing in April of 1987. Some of you might remember, because he ended up re-signing with Montreal and he wasn't even eligible to play in April. There were a lot of guys. Andre Dawson famously gave the Cubs a blank contract and said, "Pay me what you think I'm worth." They filled it out $500,000, and then he went and hit 49 home runs in 1987 and won the National League MVP award.
That's why you're Professor Cobb.
Yeah, collusion. Well,
Yeah.
Nothing makes for great content like a lecture.
Yeah,
You know that.
No, well, let's go to and by the way,
Yeah.
I knew it was 93. If I said 94, it's been a while since I've had, four different have had two turntables and a microphone going here, going live.
Tim,
So,
you're drunk. It was 94. You said it again. Tim's obviously he's been getting into the spiked eggnog.
I graduated college in
Little too
94.
much
That was the year they
Osmonds and Cher.
Hey, I'll give you one. The Yankees were 70 and 43 when the strike happened. That's my one little bit of knowledge that I'm pretty sure is accurate.
All right, see, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. See,
So-
you got a little bit of that DNA yourself.
Nice. Well,
I
let's
just
listen
wish
to your,
that
let's listen to your
Reginald
Horner.
Martinez Munson had been around to see it.
Love it. Let's give a listen to your Horner
right.
pre-tape if you're good with that. I think we've got it edited, ready to go here.
Absolutely. Just, an hour ago, myself and Bob Horner. If you were a baseball fan in the 1980s, my guest today really needs no introduction. He was one of the most feared power hitters of his era and one of the most visible as well, playing on Superstation WTBS. It is my pleasure to welcome to the program former Atlanta Braves All-Star third baseman in the 1978 National League Rookie of the Year, Bob Horner. Bob, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
Well, Bob, appreciate having you on very, very much. Like so many fans of my age, I grew up watching you and Dale Murphy and the Atlanta Braves 5 minutes after the hour throughout my childhood, like so many people around this country. And Bob, I want to talk to you about Dale Murphy a little bit here in a few minutes, because obviously he's up for consideration for the Hall of Fame on Sunday. But I wanted to get your reflections a little bit on that era, playing with Murph, those glory days on TBS. And a lot of people may not know, particularly younger people, that you skipped the minor leagues entirely. You won the Golden Spikes Award in 1978 at Arizona State, drafted number 1 overall by the Braves, and then you just went straight into the lineup and performed so well that you won Rookie of the Year. Do you ever reflect back on how special that is? Because it's pretty much unheard of today, and even in your era, you very rarely saw that happen. How did you make that transition so smoothly?
Reflecting back, as you said, is at the time, if you think about what you're doing, you would almost miss the moment, if that makes sense, because you're just going out there and playing as hard as you can. You don't know what's going to happen. You have no clue. Playing in college was, and winning a national championship and whatnot, that just and then signing with the Braves and going into the big leagues. I mean, scared to death, obviously, and but you did it, and you just mentally just made up your mind that, you know, how bad do you want this? And if you stop to think about what you're doing, you'll never make it.
It would be a terrible injustice if Murph doesn't make it into the Hall of Fame. I'm 100% in agreement with you on that. I try as best as I can to try to talk up Murph's Hall of Fame credentials. We got 16 people that are going to be voting on Sunday, December the 7th, Bob. And I had tweeted out recently saying to people, hey, share this, spread the word. I know that there's a lot of people smarter than me who have been dedicated to this cause and trying to get the word out there and trying to get this momentum behind Murph, that it seems like maybe this year there's a momentum behind Murph that might not have been there the last time around that he was up for consideration by the committee. If any of those 16 voters, and he's going to need 12 out of the 16 to vote for him to get the call, if any of them were watching, or maybe if you had the opportunity to have all of them in front of you, what would you say to them as maybe the player from his career that perhaps knows him the best as a player, who certainly had the most close-up view of him for all those years? What would you tell them to try to sway their judgment to understand what you and I agree on, that Dale Murphy belongs in Cooperstown?
Well, I mean, first thing I would say is back-to-back MVPs. Now, if that doesn't get you in the Hall of Fame, I don't know what could. How many all-star teams did he make? Look at his, career stats. We don't have to be rocket scientists to figure this out. This man deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. No question.
It was a great opportunity to be able to sit down today with Bob Horner and hear him make the case. Don't take it from me. Take it from the guy who was right there in the middle of the order with him for almost a decade, creating a nightmare for National League pitchers everywhere. Certainly hoping for the best here. I'll have Tim Kirkjian on the program tomorrow. We're going to do a full dive into the candidacy of all 8 of the guys on the ballot, not just Dale Murphy, but certainly hoping for the best this Sunday for Murph. My friends, this episode is brought to you today by Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. And it's a great time of year. We're making a lot of decisions this time of year. We're making decisions about what we're going to be cooking for holiday dinner. We're making decisions about what gifts should we get for which friend and which relative. And we're making decisions about which games we're going to watch. And it's the best time of the year, a lot of people would argue, for watching games on TV. We got pro football coming down the stretch, and the playoff picture is getting very interesting. I'll be talking to Armando Salguero about that momentarily. College football, well, we know what's going on there. The debate and arguing going on about the playoffs figures to only get more intense. And then basketball is underway as well. So you got lots of options. And the great news is that Prize Picks, you can go in and you can put together a lineup combining any and all of those sports that you want. Basically anything that's going on out there. Hell, if you know anything about cricket, you can get cricket worked into this picture as well. Let me tell you what I like about Prize Picks. I like the options. I like the flexibility. I like the ability to be able to go in and mix and match. In fact, I just did one the other day. I included Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua in a pick that I made recently because it was there, and I think that Jake Paul is going to land less than 6 punches in the first round. In fact, I think he's going to land less than 6 punches perhaps in the entire fight. But it's his Prize Picks that gives you the opportunity to get in and consider these sorts of things. I like the flex play. I like the fact that I can be wrong and still cash in. Or maybe you're a little bit bolder than me and you want to go for the power play. You get everything right. You cash in at bigger rate of return on what you're doing. So, and one other thing I want to say about Prize Picks as well. Some of these apps, we've all been on apps before, and you fart around with it and you're like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I can't figure out how to get around in here. Not the case at all with this one. You go into Prize Picks, very user-friendly, very intuitive. You're going to be right in there, comfortable, focusing on what you want to focus on right away, which is analyzing sports and then using your knowledge to profit. All right? Because as I've said many times, it's great to be right, but it's always better to be right and make some money in the process. You can do that on Prize Picks, and to help get you started, use my code Ricky and play a $5 lineup, and you're going to get $50 in free lineups. That's right. Simply download the app, get in there, make a $5 lineup, use my code Ricky, and you're going to get $50 in free lineups with which to build your bankroll. Because on Prize Picks, it's not just good to be right. It's good to get a little extra Christmas money as well. And here's how I'm going to attempt to feather my nest a little bit tonight, because, again, Cowboys, Lions, I don't need too much extra incentive to watch this one. I think it's an interesting matchup, but it gets a little bit more interesting when you have a lineup in play. And here's mine for tonight. I am taking less than 269.5 yards passing for Dak Prescott, and I am saying that Jahmyr Gibbs will get into the end zone at least one time on Thursday night, and my plan is to make a little bit of money. Who knows? Maybe I'll stuff somebody's stocking with the proceeds from Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. And with that being said, and with us talking about the Cowboys and the Lions just ready to get underway, just in mere hours from now, who better to welcome to the program than Outkick senior NFL reporter, the great one, Armando Salguero. Armando, how's it going, man?
Ricky, I am hoping that the next time that you interview either Dale Murphy or Bob Horner, you're wearing Bob Horner's 1980s hairstyle, because that would be amazing to see.
Yeah, maybe that's a wager that we could have on the show. That's one that Ron and I haven't considered. Our season-long NFL picks. Last year, Ron had to drink an IPA during the show. And this year, it's one of us has to wear Angel Reese merch for an entire episode. Maybe the next one is we get the 1982 Bob Horner perm and see how that works out for us.
I saw the photo that you put, on there during his interview, and I'm thinking, that's a look right there. That's definitely 40 years ago. Yes, perms for men.
Yeah, a little bit of a Dusty Rhodes kind. I don't know if you were a wrestling guy back in the day, but Bob had a little Dusty Rhodes in him as well. Another guy who was doing some fine work in Atlanta back in the 1980s. All right, Armando, we got a pretty interesting matchup tonight. Cowboys, the beginning of the year, it's all Micah Parsons and what the hell did Jerry do? And oh my God. Now, they've made some moves. They're north of 500, and they go into this game in Detroit tonight, 6-5-1. Detroit, a disappointing 7-5. Detroit, who we never could have imagined would be 2 games behind the division-leading Chicago Bears, of all things, as we were looking ahead at this year in the early stages. Armando, what do these teams have to gain and lose from the outcome of this one tonight? How important is it to each team's fortunes?
Well, it's pretty simple for the Cowboys. You have to win, period, because they long ago lost their ability for the window for error, the room for error. They are still on the outside looking in. They are chasing a team that is, right there for the plucking. The Philadelphia Eagles right there for the plucking. Yes. The Eagles have lost a couple in a row, and, they've got offensive coordinators having their houses egged, and they're playing at home in front of hostile crowds in which they get booed going off the field in the first half, and they get booed, welcome back in the third quarter. And it's just everybody should be fired, and everybody's thinking about 2023 when they wilted and basically went from the best team in the NFL to a massive disappointment. The Cowboys, on the other hand, are ascending. They've revamped their defense. They've got 4 new starters on defense that since the trade deadline, they've changed the lineup, obviously. And you team that with an offense that is arguably the best in the NFL, and all of a sudden, Jerry Jones' team is not just about drama with Jerry Jones. It's about drama in that they're doing football things. And that's the good kind of drama that you want to see in Arlington. With the Lions, look, we talked about it earlier in the season. They lost their offensive coordinator. He is in Chicago and leading the division. Yes, they lost their defensive coordinator. He's in New York and sucking, but he's not in Detroit. They had, I would say, 3 or 4 other assistant coaches that went with those guys. They suffered a lot of brain drain. And you're seeing that. And the most obvious show of that is when Dan Campbell feels like he has to take over offensive play calling. Like, who had that on their bingo card? So it's not the same kind of smooth operation that it has been. And it's showing. I mean, they're not a bad team, and they're not a badly coached team, but they're not the same Detroit Lions at all.
Armando, here in Chicago, obviously this is the most excited we've been about Bears football in a very long time. There's been some lean years here. Now, playing the Packers in Green Bay this weekend, it might be a very short lead that they have right now, but having said that, how real are the Bears? Is this just a mirage? And we're going to look back and we're going to be like, yeah, this was a great little milestone in their growth trajectory. They were number 1 that late in the year. They're going to make the playoffs, but they're not really a threat to go to the Super Bowl. Is that the situation? Or are we at a point where maybe Bears fans can allow themselves to consider the proposition that would have been unthinkable probably, even a month ago, that the Chicago Bears might actually have a chance to win the NFC?
So the Chicago Bears are a team that is surprising everyone, and it's great and all of that. And this is where I remind everyone that the number 1 seed in the NFC has played opponents whose win percentage is .344. So that 9-3 record was built on teams that won 34% of their games. Okay. In the playoffs, typically you don't play teams with a .344 win percentage. You typically play
Armando, just throwing a wet blanket. You're throwing a wet blanket on me here, man. You brought me back to reality real fast with that answer. Let me tell you, it's persuasive as well.
No, I'm not taking away your binky or anything like that. I'm just saying that they're gonna make the playoffs. And that is an accomplishment, and that is probably ahead of what their foundation building for this year was scheduled to do. You got to understand, this is a first-year head coach with a second-year quarterback, and they've cobbled together a roster. They put together that offensive line. This is not a team that has just been lacking good coaching for the last 6 years, but had great players on it. They had better players than coaching, I'll grant you. But the point being is that this is a building project still. And that building project is way ahead of, where it's supposed to be. But let's pump the brakes a little bit on winning the NFC. I mean, can we kind of, accept the good news without it becoming, but let's not move the goalposts, in other words.
I feel like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance? No, you're actually telling me probably there's not even that much of a chance. Armando, before you get out of here, I want to ask you about Jerry Jones, to circle back to the Cowboys briefly. Jerry obviously is on a 30-year post Jimmy Johnson built dynasty downhill slide. Here's my tweet. I said, you should put Jimmy Johnson in the Hall of Fame twice just for the feat of dragging Jerry Jones to Canton with him. Because we all know Jimmy's the only reason that the Cowboys have done fuck all since Jerry bought the team. What Jimmy did seems to get more and more impressive the more that time goes on. Obviously, Jerry Jones is, I don't know. How old is he? What is he, 80? Early 80s, Armando? I don't know his age. He's somewhere around 80. He's old enough that we know that he ain't got a ton of time. He doesn't have another 30 years to try to fart around trying to win Super Bowl number 4. We know that. With the way this season has gone, with it at first, it seemed a lot of us felt like, well, Jerry's ego is the reason that he lost a generational pass rusher. Now they've made some other moves, as you were alluding to. They have turned things around. They're looking very interesting. Just the fact that we're talking about them playing a relevant, meaningful game tonight speaks to the fact that they have turned this season around. Where they're at now and where you see this team going as you look ahead to maybe next year, the year after, are the Cowboys in a position where Jerry could make a viable run at finally getting that elusive 4th ring to ride off into the sunset with?
Yeah, you were talking earlier about the Bears winning the NFC. I would say to you, the Cowboys have a better chance of winning the NFC than the Bears. I am very bullish on the Cowboys, and that's because they have a veteran offense. They have an outstanding quarterback. They score a ton of points every single week. Schottenheimer is a great offensive mind. He's got them believing. What they lacked was defense, and so I like that. As to Jerry Jones, I think that we can agree, and Jerry Jones has said this, including to me, his greatest regret ever in the NFL is that maybe early on when he and Jimmy were going good, he didn't feel enough for Jimmy. He felt too much for himself. And so through that prism, he was looking at how much credit I'm getting, what kind of plaudits am I getting, who's got more ink, who's the reason for this success. And that was on his mind more than let me maybe kind of tamp down the ego a little bit and make this work, and it'll work longer than if I don't. And he didn't. He said that he thought that he could hire a bunch of coaches that would win Super Bowls just like Jimmy. That didn't turn out to be true necessarily, although obviously Barry Switzer won 1. But it would have been better if he had, done the let me lower the temperature on the ego bit. And I think at his current age, he finally sees that a little bit, even as he is not necessarily a low ego human being right now. He likes attention. He likes credit, but I think he would prefer credit of having won 4 or 5 Super Bowls in the 90s instead of 3.
Yeah, I do think there are some parallels between Jerry and George Steinbrenner. They're not exactly the same personality by any means, but I think Steinbrenner, he adjusted, and then the Yankees ended up having, that great run of success after a long period of his ego, seeming to tangle everything up. I got one more thing here for you before you go, Armando. I don't know if you've ever seen this one or not. You very well may have, but throw this up, Tim. This was one that I tweeted out not too terribly long ago. Have you ever seen this photo before, Armando? You have?
I haven't.
A young
I guess
Jim
that's
Kelly.
Terry Bradshaw?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that's
a
Jim
young
Kelly?
Jim Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting Terry Bradshaw's autograph, just because that's a real thing that happened. Terry said to him that the legend has it, Armando, he said to him that day, son, maybe one day you'll get to 4 Super Bowls too, but don't get too excited because you won't win any. God bless Jim Kelly, and God bless you, Armando Salguero. Always having a little too much fun here on this Thursday. Hey, look, I've got a Jim Kelly jersey. Nothing but respect. Nobody's ever gone to 4 in a row other than Jim Kelly. So I've always said it's harder to go to 4 in a row than it is to win 1. So nothing but respect for him. And as always, nothing but respect for you as well, my friend. It's always a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Ricky.
He is the great Armando Salguero. Always fun to have him on the program. And it's always fun when we do this. We do it every day on Super 70s, and we do it every time on this program. My friends, right here, live on YouTube, it's time for America's Poll of the Day. And let's go to it now on Super 70 Sports on X, where the eagle flies even higher than the chances that Jerry Jones is not going to win this poll. But I did put him in because, see, producer Tim he's taught me a few things. And one of them is you do nice little things like that. You go out of a conversation about Jerry Jones. Well, look, we're going to follow up by pitting him against. And let's look at the lineup that we have today. First is probably going to be, I don't know, it might be the winner, sitting by a fireplace. It's just that time of year. The ambiance is even greater if you've got some Christmas tree lights glowing in the room, a nice little fire crackling, maybe your hand up your sweetheart's sweater. I don't know what you're doing, whatever you're into. Secondly, calling back to the beginning of the program, Wang Chung. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. What was their other hit, Tim? What was their other big hit? Dance Hall Days. That's
right. Yes, that was a great. By that much,
you and everyone we knew. Yeah, and sharing what was true. Okay, and then we've got. I did not consent to be in today's America's Poll of the Day. I do, however, own America's team. And then lastly, one of my favorites, in fact, I have to be careful. I can't have Fruity Pebbles in the house because I go after it like Tony Montana diving into a pile of cocaine. Producer Tim, break it down for me today. Take me through this menu. Stack them for me. Help me make sense of it. Your
Sharing
thoughts?
what I could do. I said, they had good horns too. They definitely had good horns going. Yeah.
They did.
I love your encyclopedic knowledge, Ricky Cobb. Good seeing you after dark here. The Ricky Cobb Show after dark. Listen, you fuckers, you better make more comments on YouTube. We're getting there. And by the way, many more votes. We captured this much earlier. You're up around 3,000 votes right now, despite what the screen in front of you may say.
Oh, this is early. These votes aren't even going to be accurate, is what you're telling me. You're going to have to look at what it is.
I'm
now
curious. I'm actually curious because I just voted literally in the last 30 seconds here. I'm curious to see how what the early returns, the early precincts. Does that ever bother you? They're calling races with 1% of the precincts reported. That's another show for another day for another network. Jesus.
Well, it's
Fruity
science,
Pebbles.
You know,
You don't see Fruity Pebbles ice cream. I would get that for sure. Jerry Wang Chung sitting by a fire was sort of my, I think these are 4 really good options, but I think recency bias. By the way, do you like my hair? I was trying to get Mr. Horner's hair on there for you earlier.
I like you there. Bob Horner's sideburn looming.
I could make him go away. I could
just
be
above your head.
I could be the
if you scoot over a little bit, Tim, Bob Horner's sideburn might sort of give you a Mr. T mohawk. You just have to, if you could just position it above you. Hey, woman.
Truth be
told,
told,
what
dude,
it's like to be with a real man.
Oh my God. What a great scene, right?
Yeah. He just told the truth. He was a villain for no reason, Tim. Clubber Lang's biggest crime was that he just told the truth. He
played it so well. He played it so well. And he was a likable asshole, by the way.
Best supporting actor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Drago you hated, but I didn't hate Clubber Lang.
No, not at all. I would have been pulling for Clubber Lang if they had made a sequel that was just about him, which they should have done. But anyway.
Well, for multiple reasons, I'm not going to vote. I'm just going to sitting by the fire. I think is going to be the vote here that we fire. But I think these are 4 really good options. This, if you're going to me, if you're going to put one in the Hall of Fame, this is it.
Yeah, I mean, sitting by a fireplace is really never a bad thing. Wang Chung, look, they were great, but again, I can probably, off the top of my head, I can only name 2 Wang Chung songs. They showed up, they Wang Chung'd, they took you to the dance hall, and then like that was basically it, right? I mean, there's probably some like, hardcore Wang Chung fan out there right now who's just all angry, like, hey, he had a lot of good songs, but
the boss man weighing in. Here we go. YouTube comments. Gary,
okay.
Gary, you need to drop that in the YouTube community page. He's texting. He's saying they also sang to Live and Die in LA.
Okay, there you go. All right. We want to be fair to Wang Chung here. So yeah, that's a good one.
Hey, I
look,
think
Jerry Jones, there's no
themes.
denying the success that he's had.
Yeah.
But what?
I think we should do like we haven't done we should either a Wang Chung theme or like obscure 80s bands or one-hit wonders. Let's theme a show next week on that.
All right, one-hit wonders perhaps. We could have Looking Glass. Brandy, she was a fine girl, and that was really their only contribution that they really made to music. I couldn't tell you another Looking Glass song. But their one song was better than a lot of bands' entire careers, if you ask me. And then Fruity Pebbles are great. Look, I'm not even kidding. I don't bring Fruity Pebbles into the house, but unless I just know that I'm going to eat the entire box, like basically in one day.
Your kids
when
ask
I get started, there's something about.
Why are you snorting the Fruity Pebbles, Dad?
It's
Why
so
are you putting
bad,
them in
bro.
a straight? Why are you putting them in a straight line?
Yeah, I'm just hitting them with my hand, and then like I'm just lining them up and just snorting them. I'll be snorting them off a hooker.
Good Lord.
All right,
let's fire this.
All right, let's fire this. I'm gonna vote for. I'm gonna vote for sitting by a fireplace, and I'm probably gonna be in the majority here, but. Let's see.
I've been feeding mine all day here. It's going to go down to single digits here tonight. Let's see how it compares to the early vote. Oh no! Oh, it holds true.
Jerry Jones. Oh wow! Is that the worst that anybody has ever done in a poll?
Dude,
it's either Jerry Jones or the WNBA.
It holds true. So
Look
you're almost 3,000 votes. You're almost, sorry to interrupt you. You're almost 3,000 votes in, and like everything is within like a half a percentage point. It's crazy.
See, now you know how they call the races after 1%.
But in honor of Jerry Jones, I have a little treat for you. I'm not sure if you knew this was coming or not, but I've got a little element here for you that we're going to run in honor of you.
I do not.
We're going to roll 10.
I'm
Jerry
afraid
Jones.
to ask.
Do you like Jerry Jones?
Oh boy.
I live in Dallas. It's Jerry Nation.
I'm going to do my Jerry Jones impression. You give it to me 1 to 10. All right, here we go. It's like
so good.
I'm in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. Very disappointed that the Dallas Cowboys aren't in the Super Bowl this year, but we're hoping that we'll be there next year.
That's a 10.
high five. Y'all have a great night.
She was a 10.
Well, there you go. That's just walking up to hot chicks on Bourbon Street and saying, hey, do you want to hear me do my Jerry Jones? That's the kind of game that only a chosen few have, Tim, but there we were out there doing that. 3.2% for Jerry Jones. That is catastrophic. I think that's the worst that anything has ever done in the history of the poll. Like I could have just put like a pile of shit in the poll and it would have gotten 3% probably.
You're right. I don't think we've had anyone under 5 up to this point. Yeah. Well, while we're sticking with Cowboys,
WNBA
is
the only
so you
one
sent
I know
out a
for sure.
tweet
and Chaka Khan, oddly enough.
But Chaka Khan was like 6 or 7%.
People didn't like. Okay, maybe she did get. I thought she was down around. I think she was at like 4% initially, and she climbed up. The Rufus fans, came out for her to get her above 5%. I think you're right, Tim.
So a couple more comments before we go here. So you sent a tweet out about a month ago about the Cowboys being awful. So we could show this here 65, the Cowboys screen record. Um, the Cowboys hate is real. Press that button. I'm gonna hit that button. I'm gonna scan that. Scan another one, and there we go.
There we
It was,
go.
you said
Hey,
that
we're
the Cowboys.
live,
You said the Cowboys
motherfuckers.
were just pure garbage.
Yeah, yeah. I'll end up on like freezing cold takes probably if they keep winning. You know, at the time, they felt like they were garbage.
They're not legit.
I didn't
They're
see
not
this
legit.
turnaround coming.
They're not legit.
Well,
They're not.
Armando just said that Armando said he thinks that they've got a better chance of winning the NFC than the Bears.
Mm.
He might
Yeah.
have been having some fruity pebbles before the show himself.
He is in Miami after all. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, look. Do I think the Bears are going to win the NFC? No, I do not. But do I think that the Cowboys have a better chance of winning the NFC? No, I also do not. But who the hell knows with any of this? Let's go to poll replies, shall we? See what folks are saying about this curb stomping that Jerry Jones is I would like to demand a recount. I believe that I have been undercounted by approximately 50% today. Dallas Cowboys. Let's see what people are saying.
How long have you been working on that,
Sitting
Ricky?
by a fireplace.
Before we show them, I think the first time I heard you do it was in Bourbon Street. I don't think you broke it out on the show up till that point. How long have you been working on the
Was that
Jerry
after I
impersonation?
pounded a hurricane, and then I
was not
decided
with you for
Jerry
that.
Jones was coming out?
I was not with you for that. Yeah.
Yeah. But you disappeared. I still don't know where you were. But,
I was trying to get.
I've been doing.
I was trying to book Kenny Mayne for the show. I went to his screening to try to book him. I ended up meeting up with you late night, which was fun.
Yeah.
A lot of
Kenny
comments here.
Mayne, who I love, but come on, Kenny. It's been what's it been? It's been 10 months. We still haven't had Kenny Mayne on the program. I was on your podcast. Come on, Kenny. Prokhorov. I don't know if I got that right or not, but Ivan Drago's his avatar, so you know he's a cool motherfucker. Sitting by the fireplace eating a bowl of Fruity Pebbles, watching the Cowboys get the shit kicked out of them while Wang Chung plays in the background. Where is Ed when you need him to make the AI picture of that? I would like to see that brought to life so that I could witness it. David Cohen submits a write-in of shoving Jerry Jones in. That's not very nice. I realize that it's not all sunshine and glory holes, but I would prefer not to be pushed into a fireplace. Dallas Cowboys. Mark Clark says, I ate Fruity Pebbles back this summer and still have the taste in my mouth. You lucky son of a bitch. You lucky son of a gun. Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble out there just pushing that product like fucking Pablo Escobar. Jim Kaiser, the poet laureate, I told you, I'm a Dallas fan. Been one for near 60 years. Motherfucking Jones. Hey now. Everybody's ganging up on me. Dallas Cowboys organization. And then Swatcha Howitz Wyndham King is my tribal. I don't even know what that means, but I do know that I want everybody to have fun tonight. And if you are going to Wang Chung, please do some light stretching before you begin. That is my advice. I pulled a hammy Wang Chung. Tim, put me on the disabled list back in the day. 21 days.
Got to do the safety dance next time.
We can dance if we want to. We've been live on YouTube, Tim. How did it feel for you? Was it as good for you? Should we pop out lung darts now and savor the pure tobacco flavor after this?
Yeah, I think I'm going to pour myself a drink. It's definitely a little, it's a little unnerving at times, right? A little different. Our little mojo. Ron is off gallivanting elsewhere, but no, good stuff, man. A lot of good stuff. I see Peter Engstrom. I see a lot of guys out there with comments. Tim Kirby, the Parish guy. Thanks for watching. So everyone else that's out there, appreciate it. Definitely trying something new here with the good old Ricky Cobb show. But yeah, going to work on my lighting.
I'll tell you this, Tim. I'll tell you this, Tim. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cap this one off. I went by the dispensary last night, Tim, and I picked up an indica, an infused indica that is the best indica that I've ever smoked. And I'm going to go upstairs. Regrettably, I don't have a box of Fruity Pebbles because it would pair real nicely with this indica, Tim. I'm going to have a nice little indica later. Are you an indica guy, sativa guy? Or are you more of a Molly?
In the couch,
type
in the
dude?
couch. Yeah, no, I don't know. I can't afford being in the couch these days. I'm trying to find a good picture of weed here to put for my backdrop, but I'm slow to draw here.
I'm telling you, infused 61% THC content, Tim. 61%.
Oh, really? Jesus, really? Okay,
Yes.
that's real. Yeah.
Oh, so good, so good. I couldn't. My feet were tingling.
And that's a pen or what is that?
This was so much fun. My whole body was tingling. What's that?
Is that a pen or what is that?
Oh no, I don't vape.
It's flower.
It's a pre-roll. Yeah, pre-rolls.
Nice.
Flower, good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get high now. That's what I'm gonna do. And then, in the privacy of my own home, with nobody around, I might look around. I might check both ways. And when I feel it's safe, I just might Wing Chun tonight. And I hope that you do too. Don't forget to subscribe to the Ricky Cobb Show right here on YouTube. If you enjoyed this, I know that I did. And we just might have to do it a little bit more often going forward. So for producer Tim, for Bob Horner, for Armando Salguero, the great folks in Nashville who always are so instrumental to everything we do. And I do want to shout out everybody. Brooke, Molly, Colin, Adam, Tyler, everybody down there. So awesome.
Justine.
Appreciate the work that you do. Justine doing tremendous work as well for us. Chuck Hunnell, great guy who I was with when I had that hurricane down there on Bourbon Street. Chuck, I think Chuck bought it for me, if I recall correctly, in fact. So shout out to Chuck for that. P.A. Jarrett, still waiting for Penn State to get a head coach. God bless him as he continues to hold his candlelight vigil every night in his Jerry Sandusky t-shirt. And of course, my thanks to producer Tim, who also today was sidekick Tim. Had a blast. Look forward to seeing you next time when we will once again tee it high and let it fly with another episode of The Ricky Cobb Show.